Hey MegToes, this is Vention. Feeling pretty good. A little groggy though. I'm changing hotels today, probably, if I like the other place better. And I skipped my treadmill this morning because I figured I'd be hauling luggage around and everything. But as a result, boy, I can really feel the difference. When I do the treadmill in the morning or get a good walk in, I feel like energized and pumped for the whole rest of the day. It's like I'm on crack or something. and caffeine does not even begin to match that. But you know, there is just no substitute for just getting your blood pumping in the morning and blowing out all the garbage and then having a good breakfast, and then all the, you know, the nutrients from the breakfast hit your bloodstream, and then you're just, you know, probably combined with all that vitamin C I'm taking, I feel just friggin' astounding when I do that. But today, boy, I'm like kind of groggy and goo in my eyes and but you know, I didn't want to wear myself out before I did the move. But basically, what I wanted to share was just an observation on the economy, as I'm always blathering on about, and the phenomenon they call hyperinflation. And I just wanted to sort of give my prediction on this. I do not really expect hyperinflation anytime soon in the United States. I expect serious inflation, but I don't expect hyperinflation. The thing is, hyperinflation is also what they call currency collapse. And that's when a bunch of ignorant fucktards are running the money printing, right? And they are ordered by like the local despot to really fire up the presses, and then the despot just wants to do all this stuff, and then the result is the whole freaking country is just buried in the currency, and the despot is almost certainly cashing in the local currency for US dollars or Bitcoin or whatever they can get a hold of, so that they can profit from their cash cow. But the thing is, a lot of these despotic countries, you know, where they seize assets, and like Argentina, where they stole everybody's 401ks, right? And then they were denominated in dollars. And then they said, oh, by the way, they're denominated in whatever their local currency was. I can't remember. And Venezuela did the same thing, and stealing everything they can get a hold of and printing like crazy. And the result is the currency hyperinflated and collapsed, right? But we have some real evil geniuses running our, well, the U.S. economy. It's not our economy. It belongs to them. Or their banking system and their dollar system. But the thing is, they are smarter by probably an order of magnitude than the people running like the Argentina or the Venezuelan economies. And they understand that if they go too far with that money printing, too fast, and more than other countries, then they will basically cause hyperinflation, and then the dollar collapse, right? But they are smarter than that, and all of these central banks, they all work together, and they all run through the Bank of International Settlements, which supported Hitler and his regime, and basically, you know, they basically just are all inflating. All these countries in the world, they're all sort of inflating at once, and not so fast that they are breaking the currency, at least not yet. It would require a lot of abuse to really cause the dollar to collapse. But there could be a situation where the dollar and other world currencies could lose a lot of value, and that's when crypto and Bitcoin especially are gaining prominence and making so much progress as they are now. We just went over $16,000 per Bitcoin this morning again, and we dropped down, and we're just sort of flirting with a $16,000 floor, and we are certainly not in what they call FOMO, which is like fear of missing out, and that's where all the normies start piling in, and they have no self-restraint, and they just take all the money they've got and just blast it into Bitcoin or whatever, and then that causes the gradual uptick which we're experiencing now, which is like, if I understand correctly, it's mostly corporate buying. You got Grayscale buying most of every Bitcoin that is created, newly created Bitcoins due to the block reward every 10 minutes. Grayscale is buying most of it, and other companies are buying more than the rest of it, and the market is adjusting by the price going up. And but it's not FOMO. It's about as close to corporate FOMO as you can get. But corporations are run by people, and the CFOs, the chief financial officers, those people, most of those people, they have me beat as far as IQ and whatnot. I'm pretty good. I'm no slouch. Last time it was measured, it was like 110, which is like a bit above average. But basically those people, they're like 140 and shit. Those people can think their way around guys like me, like it's like I'm standing still. I'm just walking along like a semi-retard, trying to figure out what's going on in the world. And guys like me, we have to get old before we figure it out. Guys like them, those people, they get it pretty close to right away, and then they move into the system and then game the system for their own profit, right? And that's all well and good until it starts to harm me and mine and my friends and my fellow MGTOW and people like that. Then I have an axe to grind with them. And they've been printing money and basically just stealing from me for decades, right? Every year that goes by, it's like they sneak in and they steal about 5 or 6% of everything all the dollars that I happen to own, right? And then they, of course, they say, they basically have a list of things that they measure inflation by, and they say, well, there's filet mignon, right? But dog food's kind of similar to filet mignon, so this year we'll just change filet mignon to dog food, and then we'll say, oh, we've only got 2% inflation. It's all bullshit. Usually we get about 6% or so inflation a year as far as real inflation, real estate, fuel, electronics, not necessarily electronics, but just groceries, that sort of thing. And if you're buying the same thing, then you feel the inflation, right? But if you happen to like dog food, you can switch from filet mignon to dog food, and then you don't experience the change, right? So basically, I have rebelled from the system, and I was like moving my money into silver and gold and then Bitcoin, right? And the result is, shit, I'm doing pretty darn good. My bill from the cancer center is significant, but in the last few weeks, I have gained more than the bill as far as, my holdings go. So I'm not going to bitch too much, at least until the IRS bill shows up. I can get some deductions from these medical costs, you know, but they have limits on how much you can deduct from medical, and then you can like deduct it more the next year or whatever. And then if you do this health savings account, which I've never been impressed with, you have to put in so much, right? And you have to guess, and then if you don't use it all, you lose it, right? It's a friggin' rip-off, right? And it's all designed to, you know, just take money out of our pocket. So I've rebelled. But basically, my observation is that hyperinflation probably isn't going to happen. We are going to see serious inflation since we, like months ago, like probably 4 months ago, 20% of all U.S. dollars have been printed this year. And it's probably going to be a lot more by the end of the year. And that's just the dollars that are on the record and on the level. There's all kinds of secret accounts here and there and black budget projects. Money, dollars are just being printed like crazy and dumped into those. Who knows? We might be funding flying saucer research or some shit, right? So, and all that money is turning into hyperinflate or inflation, and then they're going to be taking it from basically anybody who happens to hold dollars, who is dumb enough to hold dollars, like in a savings account. I looked at my bank the other day, and they were saying you can get a bond, like a bond from our bank for 0.5%. Yeah, right. Thanks, guys. Pay 0.5%, and then have to pay 0.5%, or 5%, and then have to pay income tax on the supposed gains you make at the end of the year, you know. And when you're in reality, you're actually losing money, right? You're losing dollar spending value, but then they charge you income tax on top of that, and yeah, no, that's not going to happen. So yeah, if you got some extra money, I fully support Bitcoin. I mean, I can't recommend it because I'm a diesel mechanic rather than a financial advisor. But basically, if I was still working right now, I would certainly be buying Bitcoin. I never would have stopped. I would have continued buying all through the crashes, and as I did, and then I bought more when the big virus crash hit. I mean, it crashed down to like 3,000 something, if I remember right, and then bounced and then started coming back up again, and I bought at 4,500. I used some of the house money for that, and then used the last of the house money, the money I got for selling the house, for that Hope for Cancer trip to Cancun, which was a total friggin' waste. But now I'm going to be doing the immunotherapy, and then I got the surgery, of course, and that really helped. But I'll be doing immunotherapy and a bunch of other treatments, some of which I've already done at Hope for Cancer, like the vitamin B17 and vitamin C megadose IVs, which I have taken up in Washington State before friggin' Governor Inslee closed the state and wiped out my ability to get those IVs. And during that three or 4 months, until they opened up enough for me to get a CEA test, my cancer numbers tripled. And then then I was starting to get the restriction, went to Hope for Cancer. I think it may have helped a bit, but then when I got home and did the Hope for Cancer program, the way they were outlined, the way they described it, the tumor just grew and started blocking. Then I had to get the surgery to get the rectum removed and all that. Boy, did they do a good job on that, and I am very happy with the surgery. And now I'm going to go through the same place to get the immunotherapy and the other treatments. So problem is, cashing in Bitcoins is kind of slow, so I don't have the money yet. It'll be Monday before I can pay. So I'm just sort of cooling my heels in the hotel, hitting the treadmill, eating low carb, and taking all my meds. And that feeling I had in my below my rib cage, it's almost gone. You know, that may be some kind of tumor, or I might have just pulled a muscle or something. But basically, then Monday I'm going to hit it hard. I mean, probably Tuesday I'm going to hit it hard. The treatments that they've got over there, and I'm going to keep the walking thing up. And when I change hotels, it'll be about a little less than 1 kilometer of a walk each way, and that will be a good brisk walk, assuming I'm feeling well enough to do it. And then because some of the immunotherapies that you get make you feel kind of shitty, but basically, if I can walk it, even if I'm feeling shitty, that's an additional thing that helps, you know, getting all of the vitamin C mega dose pumping through your whole system. And then if that barrier for the immune system is severed by the, you know, that surrounds your cancer cells, that in theory could help the vitamin B17 and vitamin C to have better access to the tumor too. And if I get the blood pumping and oxygen flowing, then those things will reach the inside of the innards of the tumor, you know, or the living parts of the outsides of the tumor, which are still alive. It could conceivably help knock those down and then expose the dead tumor material on the inside. Then my immune system can really go in there and break it down and demolish it and then recycle it as fuel, right? So that's the plan. So, but anyway, back to the hyperinflation. Some people confuse inflation with hyperinflation, and some people think that currency collapse and hyperinflation are different, but they're the same thing. It's when people get more of the dollars or more of the token, more of the currency in their pocket because of the massive government spending, then those notes are flushed into the economy. Then you get the massive price increases, and then people see the price increases, and then any dollars or any of the currency or the bolivar in the case of Venezuela, they get their hands on, they immediately dump and sell. And then that causes a vastly huge tidal wave of these dollars or these bolivars that are blasting into the economy, and then the prices just skyrocket, and then you get hyperinflation. Then some people don't even want to accept them anymore. But those people who have like Bitcoin or silver or gold or real assets that they can use to barter with, those people will do a lot better. Although nobody does great in a hyperinflation situation. Those people do better, but the whole country would be just goes crazy in a situation like that. And then the lower IQ the country is, the more violent it gets. You know, like unfocused, disorganized violence, like what the Democrats are putting out. You know, the lower the IQ, the more stupid and the more useless and lame the people are, the more suddenly physically violent they get. And then you get, the thing is, hyperinflation in Germany looked a lot different than hyperinflation in Venezuela or the African countries, probably largely due to the IQ difference, and plus they also were, you know, more of a religious nation. You know, they actually had limits on their behavior, because if you went around breaking windows and then you went to the church, the owner of the store that you smashed the windows on would probably be there, and then you could get like excommunicated or thrown out of the church. And but the thing is, the lower the IQ, you know, the less likely they are to even be part of an organized religion, and basically they end up or having it mean anything to them. You know, those people, then they get really violent, then the whole country gets really dangerous, and then people, you know, it just gets really bad. Like in Rwanda, when they started killing each other with machetes, nasty stuff, you know, nasty, brutal stuff. So anyway, I don't expect a hyperinflation situation, because the people running the currency are high IQ types, and they don't want to wreck their cash cow. But a time will come eventually when cryptos start outpacing national currencies all over the world. And when that occurs, we could see some interesting stuff in these currencies. But I don't think it's going to be happening soon. Probably not within like 6 years or something like that, 7, 8. It's a good idea to plan and prepare for it, but I don't expect it to happen soon. But that gives you time to work. You know, you can get a hold of some Bitcoins. You can get a hold of gold and silver. But I would highly recommend Bitcoin. I am fully expecting to see $20,000 Bitcoins by January, sometime in January, and fully expect to see $100,000 Bitcoins within a year of that January all-time high again. And then things will get interesting. We're seeing corporations buying up Bitcoin right now, but those people are smart. They don't usually FOMO, right? The gradual increase we're experiencing now, that's about as close to corporate FOMO as I expect. The only time we'll see real serious FOMO is when normies start getting back into it again. We'll see Bitcoin start showing, well, it's already happening, but we'll see the Bitcoin all-time high announced on the corporate media. Then the normies will start piling in. Then the gradual increase we're seeing now will go nearly vertical, and then we'll see a massive gains, and then eventually, and then we'll start seeing much more volatility. Like it could go up to like 60 grand, then have a 20% pullback, and then 80 grand and a 30% pullback. And whereas right now we're not seeing a lot of that, because corporations are the ones that are buying. So it's a much more gradual, steady thing, because those people are smart. And it's important to realize that a lot of those people know a lot of things that take us months to learn, you know, or years to learn. But we do eventually figure it out. So I may be slow compared to a lot of those people, but I do get there eventually. That's about all I got for you, MGTOWs. It's about time for me to switch hotels and don't get married.